I'm Bob Buford. I'm the founder of Leadership Network, which happened 25 years ago, and I'm the chairman of 100X. And I would have answered this question half an hour ago differently than I'm now going to tell you because I couldn't think of much that hasn't gone well in my life and that I haven't really felt successful about, and things that I've missed. I mean, I'm well married. I've made plenty of money in business and done a lot of significance-oriented things after that, and written more books than anyone in my high school class. So I have much to be grateful for. However, what I missed early in my life, I wish I had surrendered to Christ earlier in my life. I had dinner one night with Henry Nouwen, who was kind enough to endorse Halftime, and the subtitle of Halftime, as you may know, is the transition from success to significance. And he said, I don't think people can, I think what God really wants from people is a step beyond that. It's success to significance to surrender. And he said, I don't think people can really surrender until they've kind of gone through significance as a halfway house, because they'd feel like they'd lost too much. And that stuck with me forever. Significance always comes when either someone does something for you or you do something for them. That's just a good definition of significance. And Dallas Willard, by the way, told me that you can't really do significance without some level of surrender, and I think that's true as well. Well, what happens when you do that, and what I missed a lot of until I understood that, is all these what I call God moments, and I'm speaking to God's people, so I presume all of you have had some experience of this. But I wish it happens to me all the time. These things I call God things that are like rewards or encouragements or things of that nature. I'll give you an example. For the last 90 days, I've been deathly ill. And what was happening was that a staph infection was literally like termites eating up my spine, 2 vertebrae, and it ate the disc up in between T4 and T5, the doctors call them. And I didn't know it. I couldn't feel it. I was just fine. And the first thing that happened was I was at my farm over Christmas and picked up a log that was too much for me, and threw it in the fireplace and felt this enormous pain. Went immediately from my farm to Dallas. The doctor there diagnosed it as 2 slipped ribs. Sent me to a physical therapist, 32 years old, master's degree in physical therapy, and female. She gave me a couple of sessions, and then she said to me, by the way, my doctor is the head of one hospital, the main doctor in one hospital for UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, and is the head of general medicine. I mean, he's a big guy, and she's a little tiny person, physical therapist, you know, poking people all day long. And she said to me these words. She said, I think you ought to get a second opinion. And that takes more than a little guts to say that about the top guy in charge. I got a second opinion and found it wasn't a slipped rib, but a staph, and it was fast growing staph that I would not have discovered had I not picked up the log which provoked it, and that I surely wouldn't have discovered if the 32-year-old internist hadn't had the courage to tell me about that. So I consider that a God moment. I'll tell you about one other God moment, and then I'm done. The Leadership Network has been in existence for 25 years, and we had a kind of a birthday party, or in a way it was kind of drawing a line in the sand to say, what are we going to do next now that we've done that? And I hope Leadership Network does exist for another 25 years. Anyway, we had this ceremony, and Doris, the person I admire most in the world, as you would know if you'd read Halftime or if you'd been around me for any 10-minute period of my life, is Peter Drucker, who I believe was the most intelligent social observer of the 20th century. And he was my mentor for 25 years. And his wife Doris, now I don't think I'll say what her age is, but is of advanced age, let's say, said that she was looking through Peter's effects, and he didn't keep files except that she said he kept one file which had the name Buford on top of it, of letters he'd written and I'd written. And she read this letter that I'm going to read you to me. And I, given the fact that this is the person I most admire on earth, I mean, my big three are my wife, Peter Drucker, and Jesus, so that's the category he's in. Think how I'd feel, or how you would feel, if you'd had this letter. Now, to do that, I'm going to walk over to the edge of my office, and I will actually have Peter Drucker over my shoulder. An oil painting of Peter Drucker and a drawing that was part of one of his books. Anyway, here's what the letter said. This was written November 20th, one day after Peter's 90th birthday. Dear Linda, dear Bob, this is a half-page letter of thanks not only for your lovely flowers, but all you did to make these last 2 weeks of extended birthday celebrations a glorious event for Doris and me. But above all, this is a letter of profound thanks for what you, Bob, have done for me in the third half of my life, the last 15 or so years. It is through your friendship that I have attained in my old age a new and significant sphere of inspiration, of hope, of effectiveness, the megachurches. You cannot possibly imagine how much this means and has meant to me, and how profoundly it has affected my life. I owe you so very much for your generous willingness to allow me to take a small part in your tremendously important work. I can't even begin to tell you what your confidence in me, think about that, because I kind of had him in a Rushmore status, what your confidence in me and your friendship means and is meant for me. This is the person I most admired in life, and he also is a person who was quoted, so I'll give those of you that are listening a little encouragement from Peter, even though he's now deceased. He was quoted in Forbes magazine as saying that the emergence of what he called the large pastoral church, and what you and I call the mega church, is the most significant social event in the last 30 years of the 20th century. So if you're thinking you're in the wrong business, you're thinking wrong, because you're in the business that at least the great social observer of our time thought is the business that's most likely to change the world more than General Motors, let's say, or even the government. Thanks for this opportunity.